Hello, dear viewer. I've received several requests to rank album art, so that's what I'm doing today. I wasn't going to make this video as I know very little about art, but then I realized I also know very little about music, and that still seems to work out. So here we go. I've picked one album per band with several exceptions if I like multiple arts, and I'm going to rank them on this tier list here. It's enough dilly-dallying. Let's dive in. Tupac. For the Pac, I've gone with Are You Still Down? To be frank, I think these all suck. This one looks like he's praying, and I thought that was a little silly. D tier. 50 Cent. For the half dollar, I've gone with his debut records cover here. Again, they all kind of stink. This one is at least iconic within the rap genre, I guess. C tier. A Perfect Circle. I've gone with 13th Step. The most recent one is creepily ass, and the other two are super bland, so it's got to be this one. This isn't great either, though. It's a weak start so far. Top of C. A Tribe Called Quest. I've gone with the low-end theory here. There's nothing too complex about this art. It's just very simple but brilliantly designed, I would say. I could have gone with We Got It From Here, but I decided this one was a bit more iconic, a bit easier on the eyes, I'd say. S tier art. Acid Bath. I think it's got to be When the Kite String Pops here. It's creepy, but the music is creepy. It's very fitting for this record. I don't think it's a legendary cover, though, I wouldn't say. A tier. Aerosmith. You might not believe me as there seems to be 100 options on your screen, but these actually all suck. This one sucks the most. This one sucks the least. Not very fitting for the music, which is abhorrently bad here. But the cover's pretty cool. I like the art. Back of the C tier. Alice in Chains. I couldn't decide on this one. I've gone with two. Tripod and Facelift. I don't think Dirt is a real contender here, and I refuse to acknowledge anything that happened after Lane Staley's death. The dog is just intimidating. I don't know why. I could probably take him in a fight. He's only got 3 legs. But it just creates a crazy atmosphere for this album. Facelift, it's just a cool cover. The dog is probably better. I'm going to put the dog at the top of the A tier and Facelift at the back of the A tier. Arcade Fire. These are all pretty ass. The eye is kind of cool, but it reminded me of the Dark Side of the Moon Redux, and I started shaking uncontrollably in fear that I would have to listen to that record again. This one's the least ass, coincidentally their best album as well, so top of the C tier. Arctic Monkeys, I've gone with Favorite Worst Nightmare here. I think it's far and away their best cover. The rest are pretty bland. I like the colors within the rooms in this one. I think it's, I don't know, I'm a simple man. B tier. Audio Slave. There's a reason these guys aren't called Visual Slave. Can I say that? All these covers kind of stink. I like their debut cover the most due to the incredibly tiny guy in the bottom left. Back of the C tier. Avenged Sevenfold. I'm going with Life Is But a Dream here. Nightmare was a relatively close second. The rest are pretty forgettable covers. I like this one a lot, though. I think the colors work really well. I wish the album was half decent. A tier, Behind the Dog. Biggie Smalls. It's his debut or his sophomore record here. The rest are after he died. I'm not even going to consider those. I think the debut is better, a bit simpler, far more iconic, contrasts with the title beautifully. I like it a lot. A tier, Behind the Dog. Black Country New Road. I think Ants From Up There is the obvious win here. Really off-putting cover, to be honest. I don't know why, but it intrigues me. Got me to listen to this. Top of the B tier. Black Sabbath. There's a lot of options here, but they all kind of suck after the second row from the bottom, I'd say. I'm going with their self-titled record. I think it's the creepiest, the most fitting for Black Sabbath's music, I would say. Great cover. A tier. Behind Biggie. Black Star. The new record's cover is awful, so it's got to be the first one. It's not really that good, though. Top of the D tier. Blind Melon. Every single album here is Youch tier. They all suck ass. The debut is the least ass, I guess, but it's a terrible cover. Youch tier. Blur. I've gone with Park Life here. I think it's the obvious highlight. It's pretty cool. Think Tank is also pretty cool, but I like the dogs more, I'd say. B tier above Arctic Monkeys. Bush. I've gone with The Science of Things here. Everything else is pretty bland. This one's weird. Why is this guy floating? I like this cover. It almost makes me forget that I'm listening to Bush. C tier. Behind Arcade Fire. Coldplay. I've gone with A Rush of Blood to the Head. While I don't love the music, I do think this cover art is pretty excellent. Really unique design, very simplistic, great contrast with the title. This is cool. A tier. Behind Black Sabbath. Creed. For Faith Plus One, I've gone with Human Clay. Weathered might be the actual worst album art I've ever seen, if you were curious. This one is pretty bad, too. Pretty bland. The art is just kind of low quality on this, I'd say. Back of the D tier. David Bowie. About 700 options to choose from, and surprisingly, I couldn't decide. The Man Who Sold the World, while a fairly average album, has a pretty great cover art, I'd say. It's very simple, but very well executed. Black Star is my other answer, irrationally simple, but just absolutely iconic cover. Two great covers, Black Star, back of the S tier, and The Man Who Sold the World at the back of the A tier. Death, some very unique covers with this band. I've gone with The Sound of Perseverance due to my inability to decode what the fuck is going on here. I don't know what I'm seeing, but I'm a little intimidated. It's a cool cover. A tier, Behind Acid Bath. Deftones. This was a tricky one. Do I go with the hot girl? Do I go with the hot girl the website censored? The cool owl? The pony? I couldn't decide on one, so I've picked two here again. White Pony. for its excellent simplicity and iconicism, and Ohms, because I think that shit looks cool. There's also a theory that the cover for Ohms is actually the eyes of the late Chi Chang, the original bassist for the Deftones. I think that adds a whole nother layer to that cover. A tier behind Facelift for the Pony, and the back of the S tier for Ohms. Descendants, they're all pretty much the same, huh? I've gone with their debut. It's the first appearance of this weird little man, and I like this little guy. He seems cool. B tier, above Blur. Disturbed. They may be the most talentless group of musicians, but whoever they have drawing these covers has a little bit of talent. I'm going with 10,000 Fists. It's just the rawest cover here, I'd say. B tier above Blur. Dr. Dre, they're all ass, I think. 2001 is the least ass due to the weed leaf. Back of the C tier. Drake, most of these are pretty terrible. I've gone with Nothing Was the Same, but I'm not really sure why. Above Audio Slave in the C tier. Elliott Smith, kind of some weak covers here, huh? I like the self-titled record the most. It reminds me of that video of Kermit the Frog killing himself. That's a funny one. B tier, behind Ants From Up There. Eminem, a couple great contenders for the worst cover, I'd say. I like a couple of these, though, with my favorite perhaps being his worst album, Encore. I like the contrast with the Eminem show, and I like the idea of Encore a bit more. In concept, of course, the music is terrible. Faith No More. Most of these suck, I think. I really like the King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime cover, though. It's just cool. I don't know. Look at that shit. It's cool. S tier, behind Black Star. Fishmans, I've gone with the one I can't fucking pronounce again. Not great covers from these guys. The live show is an iconic one, but I don't think it's particularly great out of context. I like this one. It's simple, but I think it's effective. C tier, behind 50 Cent. Foo Fighters, I think these all suck, to be frank. I've gone with There's Nothing Left to Lose, but I'm not happy with my decision. Top of the D tier. Frank Ocean, not a huge fan of either of these, to be frank. Get it? Frank. I don't know how to segue to mine. Not great. C tier, behind Drake. Ghostface Killah, a lot of options, not a lot of good ones. A lot of these are super generic, just him doing something silly on the cover. I'm not a huge fan of those. I picked 36 Seasons, at least it's kind of cool, I guess. C tier, behind Frank Ocean. Godspeed You Black Emperor, some very simple covers here, but I go with Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven. I like the simplicity a lot here, it's just satisfying to the eye. It's a good cover. A tier, behind Eminem. Gojira, a couple pretty sick ones here. I think The Way of All Flesh is the coolest. I have nothing else to say. A tier, behind Coldplay. Gorillaz, I think most of these suck, actually. Demon Days is the cleanest, I think, though I like the self-titled cover a lot, too. Above Death, in the A tier. Green Day, a lot of stinkers here. American Idiot is pretty decent, but I've gone with Dookie here. Seems the most complex, which I think really works well on this cover with this band. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore. B tier, behind Elliott Smith. Guns N' Roses, I think these all suck. Appetite for Destruction is at least iconic, but man, what the fuck is the spaghetti incident? Good lord. C tier, behind Drake. Genius, it's gotta be Liquid Swords. The rest kind of stinks. Super cool cover. I love the art style. Very cool concept. I'm a fan. A tier, behind Tripod. Have a Nice Life. I've gone with the censored one here, Death Consciousness. The others kind of stink. I don't really like this cover either, to be honest. Very on theme for the album, but it doesn't really catch my eye. I wasn't even sure what was going on in the cover for far longer than I care to admit, but that could be the tears blocking my vision anytime this record plays. All that to say, not a great cover. C tier, behind Arcade Fire. Hum. I mean, I've got to go with the zebra here. It's too strange not to. The blueprint for Deftones' White Pony cover, and I'd say perhaps a bit better. It's less clean, sure, but fuck, it's just so out of left field it makes you want to listen to this record. Right above White Pony, in the A tier. Incubus. A couple solid covers here, but I've gone with If Not Now, When. The concept seemed cool. I wish the music was better. B tier, above Blur. Interpol. I think these all suck. This one sucks really bad. This one sucks less bad. D tier, behind the Foo Fighters. Iron Maiden. A couple solid options here, but I've never been a massive fan of covers in this style. A lot of metal bands end up with these covers. I find them pretty uninteresting at this point. I picked The Number of the Beast, but a lot of these probably could have made it. I don't really care which one you go with. Behind Drake, in the C tier. Jay-Z, I pick Reasonable Doubt here. The Blueprint was a relatively close second. I don't like the rest, though. Most of these are your standard rap covers. Reasonable Doubt has a cool hat and a cool cigar. Behind Bush, in the C tier. Jeff Buckley, not a lot of options here. It's a decent cover, iconic, I guess, but not as an art piece. I'm not a huge fan of this one, to be honest. Above Audioslave, in the C tier. Joy Division, again, not a plethora of options. I go with the debut record, I guess. It's more simple, more clean, I suppose, but still not a great cover. C tier, behind Audioslave. Kanye West, I cheated a little here. The cover I've gone with actually isn't on your screen. I do this for no other artist in this video, but I remembered My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy had a bunch of alternate covers, and I've gone with one of those. Specifically this one with the bear. I think it's a very poetic cover within his discography, showing the degradation of the bear from the College Dropout. I think it's very clean. I like it a lot. Top of the S tier. Kendrick Lamar. Turns out I made all that up. I've gone with another alternate cover here. I think this is the last time I do it. Truthfully, I don't actually know. I was pretty high. The cover of Good Kid Mad City with the minivan is my pick here. I like the simplicity of it, and it's fairly iconic at this point. B tier, behind Elliott Smith. King Crimson, easiest pick of my fucking life, in the court of the Crimson King by a landslide. There's actually a couple other great covers here, most notably In the Wake of Poseidon, but it's far too iconic and just phenomenal to deny. Their debut records cover, legendary album cover. Go tier. Korn, not a huge fan of a lot of these. Life is Peachy could have made it, but I think The Nothing is marginally cooler. Very cool concept for the cover, really well drawn. Not sure it fits the record very well, but whatever. The art is clean. A tier, behind White Pony. Led Zeppelin, it's gotta be the debut here. Led Zeppelin 4, also a contender, but the debut it's too fucking clean, man. Legendary album cover. I think back of the GOAT tier. Limp Bizkit, I don't want to discuss a couple of these. Seriously, what the fuck is that? And this is crazy, and this just sucks. The first two records have clean art. I've gone with the latter, though both would probably end up in the same spot, I'd say. B tier, behind Incubus. Linkin Park, I find these all to suck, actually. Meteor is the highlight here, but I don't even like that one that much. Cool enough concept, I just don't think it's designed all that well. Behind Drake, in the C tier. Mad Season, not a lot of options here, but I think this cover is fantastic. Just really well drawn, beautiful art style, very simplistic, but simultaneously fairly complex. A little hard to tell what's going on here. I'm a huge fan of this cover. S tier, behind Tribe. Mad Villain, not a lot of options here. It's old now, huh? I'm done with that bit. I think this cover is phenomenal. Just a super well designed cover here. Very simple, but beautifully photographed. Really great cover. S tier, above Ohms. Massive Attack, not a big fan of any of these, to be frank. I hate bugs, so Mezzanine stresses me the fuck out, but I think it's the best cover here still. Not a huge fan, but it's a solid cover, sure. C tier, behind Blonde. Mastodon, I've gone with Leviathan here. I think it's the easiest one to look at. A lot of these look super fucked up, super trippy, I guess. I don't really love that aesthetic here, but the art is undeniably incredible on this album. I don't know if it works great as an album cover, though. I think it's a little too much, almost. Back of the B tier. Megadeth. In other news, The World Needs a Hero has inspired me to make a worst album covers of all time list. Expect that in the near future. The best here is Peace Sells, I think, but it's got that same generic metal art scheme going on here. I think it's pretty well done in this case, as I assume they were probably one of the first bands to use this style, but it's no GOAT, no way. Back of the A tier. Metallica. This video gives me the actual 1 in a quintillion opportunity to slightly praise Saint Anger. I think the cover's pretty neat. B tier, above Mastodon. As for their best cover, it's comfortably And Justice for All. I think the cover is phenomenal, really well designed. The colors work phenomenally here. Back of the S tier for that record. I also just discovered some genuinely abhorrent shit, and I have to share it with somebody, so I'm sorry. The cover for Metallica's Load, which I don't think I can actually show, is an original artwork by Andres Serrano, titled, and this is real by the way, Semen and Blood 3. Directly from the Wikipedia, it's one of 3 photographic studies created by Serrano in 1990 by mingling buffalo blood and his own semen between 2 sheets of plexiglass. I'm sorry for telling you that. MF Doom, I thought he had better art than this. I don't know why. I like Operation Doomsday the most here. Really well drawn, I'd say. I like it. Obvious highlight of his colors. A tier, behind White Pony. Misfits, comfortably the Static Age here. That shit's super cool. Really cool concept for a cover. Very off-putting, really great art. I like it a lot. Back of the S tier. I'd also like to move the Tripod Dog up to the S tier, right behind Metallica. Modest Mouse, not a fan of any of these to be frank. I've gone with the Lonesome Crowded West. I'm not really sure why. D tier, above Black Star. Mos Def, some solid covers here. I like the black on both sides cover, but the way he's staring at me, it feels like I did something wrong, and I don't appreciate that. The Ecstatic, on the other hand, is just a phenomenal cover. Very simple, but very clean. B tier, behind Kendrick. Mr. Bungle, I don't like these that much. Pretty bland, and the self-titled one is just super off-putting. Disco Volante is my favorite here, but not by very much, I wouldn't say. C tier, behind Frank Ocean. Muse, I don't really think these are all that great. Hot take, I think. Origin of Symmetry is my favorite cover here. I like the Second Law a lot too. That one's just super pretty. The Origin of Symmetry is a bit cleaner, I'd say, but neither is a personal favorite of mine, no way. B tier, behind Saint Anger. My Bloody Valentine, I don't like any of these, to be honest. Loveless, I guess, but I don't think it's great. C tier, behind Mr. Bungle. My Chemical Romance, gotta be 3 cheers here. Really clean art style on this one. I like the blood splatter. I don't like the comical amount of text on here, though, due to the band's comically long name and, of course, the comically long title of the album. Clean cover, though. A tier above Biggie. Nas. A lot of these have rap album cover syndrome. Illmatic is the cleanest, I think. Just works really well with the concept of the album. It's not that great out of context, though. B tier behind Muse. 9 Inch Nails. These all kind of stink. I go with the Downward Spiral solely based on the fact that it actually just looks how the album sounds, I guess, if that makes any sense. I'm pretty high. C tier above Guns N' Roses. Nirvana. Gotta be the Baby here. I'm not a massive fan of the In Utero cover, and the Bleach one just isn't good. The Baby is iconic, legendary concept that makes you wonder how they got that baby to chase that dollar bill underwater, butt-ass naked. Impressive stuff from Kurt and the gang. Back of the GOAT tier. NWA, gotta be Straight Outta Compton here. Very iconic cover. I actually like this one quite a bit. It's just a group picture, but I think it's done very well. It makes it look like they're looking down at a body, I think. I like it. Clean shit. Above Eminem in the A tier. Oasis, nothing too outstanding here. I like Definitely Maybe the most. It's just clean. I don't know what else to say. B tier. Above Nas. Opeth, some pretty clean covers here. I like the simplicity of Orchid a lot, and this peacock is pretty neat, but I'm going with the Still Life here. I really like the colors on this one. I think it's very fitting for this genre of music. Clean cover. Behind Limp Bizkit in the B tier. Pantera, a couple options here too. Reinventing the Steel is pretty fire, but I think Vulgar Display of Power is the obvious choice here. It's just a guy getting clocked. Simple and effective. I like it. B tier behind Good Kid, Mad City. Paramore. None of these are all that great, I don't think. The butterfly is kind of cool. Where's its torso, you know? Many questions to be asked. Many questions to be asked? The fuck was that? C tier, above A Perfect Circle. Pearl Jam. This one might catch you off guard, but I've gone with the band's debut project here. It's not as cool as Riot Act or Backspacer, but fuck the simplicity of this cover. I think it works really well here. I really like the idea, brilliantly executed, and a pretty underrated cover, I'd say. A tier, behind Eminem. Pierce the Veil. Not a huge fan of any of these. I guess Misadventures. I like the color scheme. That's about it. D tier, behind the Foo Fighters. Pink Floyd, and now perhaps the band with the best covers ever. I couldn't decide. I've gone with 3 of these bad Larrys, though I could have easily gotten a 4th in. I'm sorry, animals. Last but not least, I have the Division Bell. A pretty mediocre album, but a really unique and beautiful cover on this one. A tier, behind Biggie. Second place, Don't Hurt Me, Dark Side of the Moon. Probably the single most iconic album cover of all time. It's simple, but it's phenomenal. I love it. I love the album. Top of the GOAT tier. As for the best Pink Floyd cover, I've gone with Wish You Were Here. This is my favorite cover ever. It's the wallpaper on my phone. It's been redone by rappers. It flawlessly depicts the album. It's a beautiful tribute to Syd Barrett. I can't describe my love for this cover enough. Top of the GOAT tier. Portishead, Gotta Be Dummy here. The self-titled cover is pretty cool, but the dummy one just hits hard, and to be honest, I'm not really sure why. Above Incubus, in the B tier. Premise, still saying it wrong, You Can't Stop Me. I don't really like any of these, to be honest. They're very unique, I'll give them that, but I don't really like the style they go for with these. I picked Pork Soda, but it's C tier, behind Iron Maiden. Queen, I've gone with News of the World here. I think the rest kind of stink. Not sure why it's censored, but I think it's at least unique, you know? They did something here. C tier, behind Iron Maiden. Queens of the Stone Age, 2 picks for me here. Villains, while a super unimpressive album, has some super unique and clean art. I like the color scheme a lot here. The eyes are cool. It's just cool shit, man. I don't know. Above Death, in the A tier. For my other choice, like Clockwork also has a really clean cover. Similar color scheme to that of Villains. I think it's just a little cleaner. Behind Eminem, in the A tier. Radiohead, I picked 4 here. I couldn't decide. Sorry. In last place, I've got Hail to the Thief. Very unique cover. It's got a fuck ton going on, but I like the concept a lot. A tier, above Gorillaz. Next up, OK Computer. My favorite album from these guys, but not quite my favorite cover. Still really clean art, really neat color scheme. I like it a lot, very simple. S tier, behind Tripod. Next, I've got Amnesiac. Very simple cover, but I really like the character on the front. He looks a lot like me when I listen to Radiohead. S tier, above Ohms. And finally, Kid A. Just unfathomably beautiful art. You could throw this shit up in a museum, for real. Beautiful cover. GOAT tier, behind King Crimson. Raekwon, The Wild is alright. The rest aren't great. C tier above Ghostface Killah. Rage Against the Machine, gotta be the self-titled record here. It's a real photo and it just flawlessly portrays this album message. And it's downright iconic in the music scene at this point. Back of the GOAT tier. The Red Hot Chili Pedophiles. Whoops. Did I say the Red Hot Chili Pedophiles? While we're on the topic, did you know that Anthony Kiedis is a pedophile? Self-admitted in his own autobiography. That's all. I've got 2 covers here for these guys. Californication, which I think is a pretty clean cover. I'm going to put that behind Muse in the B tier. I also added their self-titled record as I refuse to miss an opportunity to dunk on the Chili Peppers. This Goes at the top of the Youch tier. All is well. REM, a lot of options here, not a lot of good ones though. I pick Monster, I like the Cat. C tier, behind Queen. Shinedown, easily us and them, some pretty unique and solid art here. The art style does seem a little off to me. I don't really like the way the characters look, but it's definitely fresh and unique. You can tell they've put some thought into this. B tier, behind Oasis. Sleep Token, I picked Take Me Back to Eden. It is a C tier, right behind Mr. Bungle. Please don't make me think about Sleep Token anymore. Slipknot, not a huge fan of any of these, to be honest. They all seem like they're desperately trying to be edgy and just kind of miss the mark consistently. I picked the Iowa cover because I don't know what the fuck's going on in there. C tier, behind Paramore. Slow Dive, I've gone with their self-titled record here. The rest kind of stink, but I really like this one a lot. Really simple concept. I think it's drawn very well, and it fits their music flawlessly, I'd say. A tier, behind Hail to the Thief. Smashing Pumpkins, I couldn't decide again. First up, Zeitgeist. I like the color scheme and the contrast with the Statue of Liberty. It's clean art. B tier, above Oasis. I also really like the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness cover. I think the kind of dreamlike cover represents the album very well, and I like the space theme they got going on there. A tier, above Death. Soundgarden, gotta be super unknown, the rest are pretty bad. Louder Than Love I like, but the giant yellow and black Soundgarden text on the left kind of ruins it for me. Super Unknown has an incredible color scheme, just clean visual, it's clean cover. A tier, above Gorillaz. Steely Dan, gotta be the debut record here, really clean visuals, kind of acid trip-esque, which I think works great for their genre of music. A tier, behind the Clown. Stone Temple Pilots, I could have gone with Purple, I guess, but that cover it's kind of so bad that it's good. I've gone with their second self-titled record. I just think the art's clean here. Very well drawn. B tier, behind Californication. Suicidal Tendencies, mostly pretty generic metal covers here. I like Join the Army the most, I guess. It's just the cleanest cover here, aesthetically. Still C tier, above Primus. Swans, a couple pretty solid covers here, but I've gone with Love of Life. Really cool idea, great callback to the previous record. I like this cover a lot. A tier, above Black Sabbath. System of a Down, not a huge fan of this band's covers, to be honest. I think the self-title is the best cover here, but exclusively because it reminds me of Left 4 Dead, and I like that game. B tier, behind Shinedown. That is the first and last time I will ever say Shinedown did anything better than System of a Down. Relish in that shit, Shinedown fans. Temple of the Dog, this one sucks, but it's too late to take it out. Top of the Youch tier, sorry. The Beatles, gotta be Abbey Road, right? If it's not Dark Side of the Moon, then this is the most iconic album cover in history. Legendary cover, GOAT tier, behind King Crimson. The Cranberries, most of these are super duper bland, I'm not a fan of these. Bury the Hatchet scared me a little bit, so I picked that one. C tier, behind Queen. The Cure, a couple solid options here. I like the entire top row, to be honest. Very unique covers there. I picked Songs of a Lost World. I think it's the most unique. I've never seen a cover like it, and it's really goddamn clean. A tier, behind the Pony. The Doors, I think these all suck, except of course Strange Days, which might be the coolest shit I've ever seen. That might have been a stretch, but I like this cover a lot. Just a group of inexplicable people. Very fitting for The Doors. A tier, above Gojira. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, gotta be Axis here, super trippy cover. The rest just aren't that great, I fear. B tier, above Shinedown. The Killers, they all stink. I picked Hot Fuss, and I can't remember why anymore. D tier, above Modest Mouse. The Microphones, I've got two here from them. I start with Little Bird Flies into a Big Black Cloud. I love the simplicity of this cover. It looks a lot how the album sounds. Great minimalist cover. B tier, above Limp Bizkit. I also have to mention The Glow Part 2. Another pretty simple cover, but a very satisfying art piece to look at, I'd say. It's just very clean. A tier, behind Doom. The Police, I don't really like any of these, to be frank. Synchronicity at least takes some risks and isn't just the fellow staring at the camera, so I'm going with that one. C tier, behind Audioslave. The Roots, 3 covers for these guys. Man, do they kill the game on that front. Bottom to top, I start with Things Fall Apart. I always enjoy a politically charged cover when it works well, and I think this one does a great job. A tier, behind Steely Dan. Next up, Game Theory is an incredibly clean cover. Really cool concept, I like it a lot. A tier, above MCR. And at the top, the censored one here, Phrenology. Really cool concept for this cover, really clean visually, not too intense, but simultaneously, it's a lot to look at. There's a lot to take in here. Great cover. S tier, above the Misfits. The Smile, I'm still unable to differentiate the different The Smile albums, so I've picked one at random today. Wall of Eyes wins. It's a lot to look at, to be honest. Not my favorite cover in the world, but artistically, it's pretty sound, I guess. C tier, behind Primus. The Smiths, not a huge fan of any of these either. The Queen is Dead is my pick, but I don't really care. C tier, behind Mr. Bungle. The Strokes, I think the New Abnormal is the clear-cut winner here. Really complex cover, quite honestly, there's just too much going on here, but I think that's almost the point. Really clean cover. I'm not typically a fan of this style, but I think it works well with this record. Behind Korn in the A tier. The Velvet Underground. Time for me to shit on this again. It's obviously the banana, but truthfully, I have no idea why. It's clean art, and I'm aware the peel can be taken off of the vinyl, and that's pretty cool. But I don't think this is one of the best covers ever, like a lot of cats seem to. I'm gonna go A tier, behind Game Theory. Third Eye Blind, I don't like any of these. Dopamine is alright, I guess, because it reminds me of Severance. That show's pretty good. Top of the D tier. 3 Days Grace, some decent covers here, actually. I think Human is the cleanest. Pretty clean color scheme. Cool concept. I like this a lot, actually. A tier, behind the Glow. Tool, I've got 3 here. Bottom to top, Lateralis. I like this cover a lot, but I may have looked at it too much, maybe. It's great, but man, is there just a lot going on here. It's a little overwhelming. Still A tier, though, behind Steely Dan. Next up, 10,000 Days, another similar case. I just like the black color scheme here a bit more, and I prefer this psychedelic creature to the one on Lateralis, behind the Doors, in the A tier. And finally, my favorite Tool cover, Anima. Specifically the one without the eyes. I love the simplicity here. I just think it looks really well with the album title being both the soul and the asshole. I think it's a phenomenal cover. Above Black Star, in the S tier. Travis Scott, I go Astroworld here. Really cool concept, and it's done pretty well. B tier, above Limp Bizkit. Typo negative, not a fan of any of these, to be honest. October Rust is the least ass, I'd say. D tier, behind Pierce the Veil. U2, I really don't care. The Joshua Tree, into the D tier, above Modest Mouse. Van Halen, some solid covers here, actually. I picked 1984, it feels the most iconic to me. And what's cooler than a kid smoking cigarettes, you know? B tier, above Jimi Hendrix. Ween, 2 picks from me here, 2 completely different covers. Firstly, The Mollusk. It's just so fucked up that it kind of had to be here. A phenomenal representation of the music inside, though. As a cover, it's not my favorite. B tier, above Disturbed. Next up, Quebec. I really don't know why I like this cover so much, but I do. Really clean art style, really simple, but I'm a big fan of this. A tier, behind Facelift. Weezer, 2 picks here as well. I open with Ratitude. How cool is this shit? Just a cool dog doing some cool shit. I can get behind that. B tier, behind the Other Dogs. Pinkerton is my other choice. I just think that's a very, very, very clean cover. It's really well drawn. A tier, above Death. Wu-Tang Clan, gotta be Enter the Wu-Tang here. The rest seem to be trying to mimic the success of that original cover. I think this is the best one by far. Iconic, legendary cover, above Gojira, in the A tier. That's all I have written here. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your favorite album cover in the comments. Subscribe if you have ever listened to music, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.